It's always better to do an access ahead of time. If you do the access in a planned fashion, it's much better physically and psychologically. It seems like after the patient's heparinized, you've torn an artery, and then you start your access, the whole rest of the procedure is in an era of defeat. My most typical access is through a retroperitoneal incision to the common iliac artery, into site anastomosis, 8 or 10 millimeter Dacron graft brought out in the region of the femoral vessel. If there's no femoral occlusive disease, and if I don't anticipate coming back soon, say to treat another pathology in the aorta, I'll just sew off the stub of the graft and close. If I think I'll need to be back or there's occlusive disease, I'll sew a iliofemoral bypass graft. Other options are direct puncture to the common iliac artery if it's relatively disease-free, just through a purse string suture, or even to the abdominal aorta or to the ascending aorta. Take note if you're going through the ascending aorta, the carotid, or transapical in the heart, all the devices will go in upside down. So consider that as you're planning your case. In this field, you're only as good as your team, and you're only as good as your equipment. It's critical that you have a skilled team. Every day I'm in the lab, the team helps me have better outcomes for my patients. The equipment is critical as well. Our original room was homemade. Now industry basically integrates the imaging equipment as well as the table and the lights. I've learned that the imaging is critical. Don't approach these without the ability to do 3D reconstruction and manipulation. This is an example when we first started using the TEVAR Recon as our 3D reconstruction. We were covering the celiac artery. I was approaching it through the left brachial approach and had difficulty cannulating. I couldn't quite profile the origin and was searching blindly in the aneurysm sac. It was my fellow's idea to go out to the TEVAR Recon workstation, manipulate the image until we could profile it, and then set the II at the exact same settings, which solved the problem the first pass. So dealing with sophisticated imaging is critical in treating thoracic pathology. Certainly IVUS is required in the thoracic locale. It can tell end to graft deposition. It can help you find your spot. It limits the use of contrast. As you work around the thoracic arch, it reminds me of getting up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, and I'll know that the first door is the linen closet, and the second door is my kid's bedroom, and the third door is their restroom. And it's sort of the same situation where you can identify the innominate, the common carotid, and the left subclavian as you move past them. The IVUS really gives you one more perspective perpendicular to the plane of the wire. This is an example of a normal appearing angiogram completion, but on CT scan you can see the graft unfolding. So the IVUS can give you a 360-degree image perpendicular to the wire. Another example where it's critical to use IVUS is when you're dealing with dissections to be able to identify the true and the false lumen. So the use of IVUS is critical, especially when you're dealing with dissections, but it helps evaluate for apposition, exclude graft infolding. You can reduce the amount of contrast and radiation. Another area of essential I learned for building a thoracic endovascular program is to control the finances. This is a high-stakes game, and it's really one area where you can't afford not to have your best minds involved. And this is a slide just of the data, the financials from our endovascular program. The corner here is the key one, and what it shows is that we did a little over 1,800 patients or 4,500 cases, and the hospital billed for slightly more than $25 million and made right around $2 million profit. It was only with this financial data that I was able to sit down with our CO, and I now sit down with our CFO on a quarterly basis to review the financials and use this as the ammunition I need to get the resources, the technology to have a strong program. So I submit to you to stay involved with the finances, to make sure that the program keeps its nose above the water financially, and then to use it as ammo to get the resources you need. I also learned it's important to serve the community. And first it seemed like a paradox. I said, so, you know, where's Scott Stevens come in here? Where's my hospital? Where's my program? But what I've learned is it's actually a paradox. If you become involved in community service, it actually transcends competition between specialties and hospitals and local politics, and you can actually make much more progress for your program and community. It allows you to call for support. It's actually some lawyers in our community are supporting our endovascular program. You can hybridize the talent. You have less opposition. and you can make more of an impact. So I submit to you that if you share the credit, then you actually have more of a voice. So we've become involved with community programs for smoking cessation, heart-healthy diets, and screening for aneurysms. So I'll end up in this slide, which is my favorite ski spot. It's in the Big Cottonwood Canyon of the Rocky Mountains in Utah. And it's at the top of the Powderhorn Lift. And as you get ready to track out to this fabulous powder bowl, there are two signs here. One says caution, beware, experts only. Failure to heed may result in serious injury or death. And I would say the same goes for dealing with the thoracic locale. It really requires expertise. But you say, why in the world do you want to go out here? And that's because that's where the fun is. That's where it can really make a difference in patients. And there's a lot of opportunity in there of thoracic aneurysm repair. Thank you.